Para continuar con el programa, escucharemos palabras de Su Excelencia Álvaro Sánchez Cordero, embajador de Venezuela en Trinidad y Tobago.
Muy buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Saludos. Before I read the protocol, when the national anthems were playing, I forgot how much a good singer the minister is. I was listening to. Plus, you have relatives who are opera singers and everything, I know. Dr. the Honorable Nayan Gatsby Dolly, Minister of Education, and thank you very much for joining us. Ms. Paula Green, NALI's Executive Director, His Excellency Victor Hugo Morales Melendez, Ambassador of Mexico, His Excellency Gustavo Vélez Olivares, Ambassador of Cuba, Mr. Charles Marfo, Deputy Head of Mission of the Ghana High Commission, the newly established Ghana High Commission, staff from the Embassy of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, teachers and students of the Venezuelan Institute for Culture and Cooperation, the IVCC, library card holders, members of the media, especially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today in this graduation ceremony of the Venezuelan Institute for Culture and Cooperation. Once again, Minister, thank you very much for honoring us with your presence today. And also, and very especially, congratulations to all of you who are finally concluding your studies of Spanish and Venezuelan culture at the IVCC, and today this will be honoring all your efforts. So please applause for all the students who have concluded their studies. Just a few things, you know. It's only a small group of people, it's 14 of you, but here is the remarkable aspect. Perhaps some of you are not aware of this. These 14 students are joining the 50,000 Trimbagonians who over the past 61 years have actually completed the same course at the IVCC here in Trinidad and Tobago. This is really quite an achievement. The IVCC was opened on the 19th of April of 1963, 7 months after Trinidad and Tobago gained its independence, and it's still here. So 50,000 people. And these 50,000 people, you see them everywhere, in key areas of the economy and society of Trinidad and Tobago, in education, in culture, in tourism, in trade, commerce, transport, energy, security. Sometimes I go to the airport and I find people approach me in Spanish, and where did you learn? I learned at the IVCC. So we have made, I think, and I want to believe that way, that we have contributed to assisting Trinidad and Tobago in achieving its development goals by cooperating in terms of culture, education, teaching Spanish, teaching Venezuelan culture, because it's not just the cold figures in terms of, people who go into these important areas of the Trinidad and Tobago economy, but beyond that is the comprehension of the Spanish language, but the comprehension of the Venezuelan culture. And so you become, and these 50,000 Trimbagonians have become, knowledgeable about Venezuela, its people, its gastronomy, its culture, its society, its economy, and so on. And that, of course, translates into a better understanding of our two communities. And that's the ultimate goal of the IVCC, is the ultimate goal of cooperation, brotherhood, and solidarity that over the years, both Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela have maintained. So it's with great pride that I mention this to you. I would like to just, because someone told me about this story that I found quite remarkable. I met last week at the flamenco evening at Napa. a couple of Venezuelan couple who came from BP. They moved from Indonesia to Trinidad in BP, and they told me that when they were in Indonesia, they met this Trimbagonian gentleman who knew how to speak Spanish, and when they asked him, "Where do you learn how to speak Spanish?" They learned at the IVCC. It's incredible. Because sometimes, you figure that it's just for this knowledge is only for Trinidad, Venezuela, it's quite local. But you had a Trimbagonian working for BP who went to Indonesia, knew Spanish, and he had learned at the Venezuelan Institute for Culture and Cooperation. I won't take any longer because there are many other more interesting things that you will be witnessing tonight. But I only wanted to say just one additional thing, because to be honest, none of this will be taking place if not for one person who has been an engine in organizing, supervising, leading all in IVCC, and that's Monica Ray. I would like to please give her a round of applause. She's in addition to being my personal PA, my secretary, the director of the IVCC, but she's also my wife. So of all the trades, I think the latter is the most important. No, but seriously, if it wasn't for Monica, really, it's her ideas, her enthusiasm, her motivation that actually leads everyone, teachers, students, all of us, into continuing with this beautiful task, which is, again, consolidating the cooperation between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago in terms of culture, education, language, and so on. And in this regard, Minister, please remember that we are at your disposal of your ministry, of the entire Trinidad and Tobago, to continue pursuing and providing this assistance in terms of education. And we have this experience, and it's all for the benefit of both of our peoples, both of our countries, and ultimately for the continuation of our brotherhood and sisterhood and solidarity. I would like to just leave you with, I always have one quote, but this time I have two, so bear with me. One is short, the other one is a bit longer, but they're both, I think, very appropriate. The first one, this is a Chinese proverb, and it goes like this: to learn a language is to have one more window from which to look at the world. Yeah? To learn a language is to have one more window from which to look at the world. The other one is interesting because this is a quote from the former Trinidad and Tobago Foreign Minister, Winston Ducaram, who was a student at the IVCC. He studied Spanish with us while being a Minister of Foreign Affairs. He said this in 2015 when he was minister. And I quote, "It was a privilege for me to enroll as a student several years ago, as I knew then that Spanish would become an indispensable tool for the conduct of diplomatic relations. Today, as Minister for Foreign Affairs, I am even more convinced of the importance of the Spanish language, and I want to commend you for the contribution which you have made in fostering better conduct between our two nations." End of quote. This was former Minister Winston Ducaram in 2015, and I think his quote really epitomizes what the IVCC stands for and what Venezuela is willing to continue assisting and cooperating with Trinidad and Tobago for the benefit of both of our population. I thank you very much, and I wish you a successful graduation. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Excelencia, por sus inspiradoras palabras. Thank you very much, Your Excellence, for your inspiring words.